Hey guys, welcome to the Explanation Pro. In this video, I am gonna talk about the 1998 fantasy romance, What Dreams May Come. As usual, there will be spoilers ahead, so take them with a grain of salt and let's get started. The movie started with a guy named Chris. He was on a vacation in Switzerland. He was chilling alone on a raft when he met a girl on another raft. Their rafts almost collide, but they didn't, and both of them were safe. Then, the girl started smiling at Chris. She started speaking in another language and Shears replied in the same language. They start building up a conversation and realize both of their native languages were English. And she introduced herself as Annie soon. Annie and Chris became friends, and that friendship turned into love. Eventually, they got married and had 2 kids whose names were Ian and Mary. One day during breakfast, Mary asked her mother Annie if she could come and pick her up after school. Annie replied that she would not be able to pick her up as she had a very important meeting that day. She assured her daughter that she would send someone else to pick her up. After breakfast, both Ian and Mary left for school, but they never came back. Annie and Ian died in a car accident that day. Shears and Mary were sad and heartbroken as they lost their beloved children. The movie moved 4 years forward. Shears was a doctor. He was examining a child's reports when he got a call from Annie. Annie was a great artist. She seemed worried during the call. She was anxious as the paintings that were supposed to arrive for the art exhibition did not arrive on time. Chris suggested Annie to hang her art instead. But she said that she did not have enough time to get the paintings from home. Chris offered to fetch the painting for her as he was just finishing up with his work. Then, he finished his work and left the hospital in a rush. While Chris was driving home to fetch the paintings, he stopped near a tunnel as he saw an accident. The car was upside down and there was a person in it. Instinctively, he got down and went there to help the person. But, another car falls right above this car and he died instantly. Annie was devastated by the loss of her husband. She already lost her children and now she lost her husband. She started crying and blamed herself for everything that happened. If she went to the school to pick up her children, they would have been alive. If her husband was not in a rush to get to her, he would have been alive too. She was crying and mourning the loss of her family members. Meanwhile, Shears's spirit was still lingering around Annie. He was able to see and talk to another figure named Albert. Albert told Chris that he was dead now and he should leave. But Chris replied that he does not want to leave and he wanted to stay with Annie. He was not able to see Albert properly, he could only see a blurry figure. When asked about the same, Albert replied that he was only clearly visible to those who actually wished to see him. Chris tried to make contact with Annie. Annie was writing a letter to mourn Shears and Chris tried to let her know he was there. But as she was in shock, she was not in a situation to take hints. Albert tried to convince Chris again. He told him that staying here does not help her and that he should leave, but Shears disagrees. Further, when she visits Shears's grave, he was right behind her trying to comfort her, but she did not notice. She started crying intensely. Shears understood that all his efforts were in vain and left the place. Then, all of a sudden Shears noticed that the world around him was changing. Everything was made of paint. Then he saw Albert. This time he was not blurry and Shears could see him clearly. This was because Shears finally accepted that he was dead and left the human realm. Then he started noticing that the surroundings were similar. He instantly realized that they were a part of the painting that Annie made. He also saw the house that they wised to live in and went into it with Albert. It seemed that when you die you go to the place or situation which you have always wanted to go to. After going into the house, Albert made a hole in the wall and suddenly everything seemed real. It was not a painting anymore. Back in the real world, Annie was really sad and started painting a tree. Back in Chris's world, Annie's painting was reflected there. Albert was shocked and he told that he never saw anything like this before. He said that Chris and Annie were soulmates. Then, Annie poured water all over her painting and started crying. The same was reflected in Chris's world. Then they started exploring the world. He found a toy that belonged to his daughter, Mary. He asked Albert where his children were and he told that he wished to find his children. Albert replied that everyone creates their own world after they die and they only see what they truly wish to see. So if he truly wished to see his children, he would. The next day, a girl named Leona came to Shears and she said that Albert sent her because he could not come. Leona offered Shears to take him to her world and he said yes. She showed him around her world all day. Even though he was in such a beautiful place, Cheese's mind was occupied. He could not stop thinking about his daughter Mary. Then, Leona asked Chris to tell her about the moments he spent with Mary. He started sharing some of his memories with her. He suddenly realized that the place he was in was similar to the heaven house that belonged to Mary. Then Leona started telling a story about the time when she was traveling with her father. She said that during that journey, they saw an Asian air hostess on their flight. She said that her father told her about how intelligent and beautiful Asian girls are. The name of the air hostess was Leona. So, she was living in this world as Leona. Shears realized that the father in the story was none other than himself, and Leona was his daughter Mary. Slowly he started seeing Mary instead of Leona. They hugged each other in joy and shed happy tears. Later on, Shears went back to his world and met Albert. He seemed a little worried this time and asked him what was wrong. He informed Chris that Annie committed suicide as she could not handle losing all her family members. Chris was very sad listening to this. After soaking up the information for a while, Chris said that it might be a good thing that she died. She was all alone in the human world. Now that she was dead, they could reunite and spend the rest of the time together. But Albert denied it. He said that she could never come here as she killed herself. She ended up in hell. Chris became emotional and argues with Albert, telling him he needs to meet his wife. Chris said that he would go to hell and bring his soulmate back. Albert told that it never happened before. But he would like to help Chris as he could see that they were made for each other and their love was pure. Albert said that he would find them a guide who would take them to hell and bring them back. Then, they went to a library. There they met an old man who accepted to help them get to hell. 3 of them sat in a small boat and started their journey. It was fine at first, but as the journey proceeded, the waves were getting higher and higher. There was a tsunami coming. Suddenly thousands of spirits started coming out of the water and tried to drown them all. They succeeded and the boat sunk. All 3 of them were drowning. Then they reached the shore, which was very dark and very mysterious. There were thousands of spirits there. Chris asked the old man what kind of place that was. He said that it was the entrance to hell and he might find his wife as they go in further. But Chris was not able to feel that connection to his wife Annie as he started thinking about his son Ian. Ian was a fickle-minded child. He was not serious about his studies. One day Chris and Ian had a conversation where Chris was motivating Ian to study and be serious about his life. He told his son that he must become a responsible, well-known man who helped other people. Chris and Ian bond over this conversation and Ian made up his mind that he wanted to help other people when he grew up. He promised his father that he would be the man his father wished him to be. He wanted to make his father proud. Then Chris suddenly realized that it was Albert. Albert was his son Ian. He was helping Chris all along just like he promised. He got emotional and hugged his son. He was delighted as he saw his son kept his promise. But why is Albert? Albert was Chris's professor in medical school. He always helped Shears. He was intelligent, hardworking, and was always there for Shears when he needed him. Chris happened to share all this with his son Ian, and therefore Ian always wanted to be like Albert. So, he appeared as young Albert. The boat was again set to leave. But, the old man forbade Albert from coming because Chris identified him. Now that Shears identified Albert, all his thoughts would be focused on him and it would be difficult for him to focus on Annie. Therefore, the old man asked Albert to stay back and he did. Chris and the old man continued their journey. Chris started focusing his thoughts on Annie. He thought about all the moments they spent together in all those years. He missed her so much and wanted to reunite with her badly. As they continued their journey, Chris saw that the floor was filled with people's skulls coming out. When he looked harder, he recognized his wife Annie there. He tried to go and get her. But as he was running towards her, the floor started breaking apart. He struggled a lot, but everything fell apart and he fell down. After looking at the surroundings, Chris understood that he was in the house where he and Annie wished to live. But this time it was broken and in a very bad condition. Then, the old man told Chris that they were in Annie's world. As she forgot all the happy and good memories of her life, she is in a bad place mentally, and that is reflected in her surrounding. Chris must talk to Annie and make her remember everything in less than 3 minutes. While having this conversation with the old man, he realized that this was none other than his dearest mentor, Dr. Albert. He was happy to finally realize who he was and thanked him for helping him. Just like he did throughout medical school, Albert was still looking out for Chris. He was there when he needed him and guided him through his tough times just like he was doing it then. The old man confirms that he is indeed Albert. He wished Chris luck and warned him to get back in time. Chris started searching for Annie and finally found her sobbing in a corner. She kept on taking his name, but she could not recognize him as she lost all the memories. Chris tried to remind her of the good times they had together. He tried to remind her that she was a great wife and a loving mother. But nothing sparked. She continued sobbing but did not recognize him. Chris lost his hope and returned to Albert, that is the old man. He said that maybe it was his journey to accept that his wife was never coming back. Albert asked Shears to join him on the return journey. Shears agreed that maybe this was his journey to accept that he was not able to take his wife to heaven. But he did not agree to return there without her. He said that he would rather lose his memories and stay back with her than leave her there to suffer. Chris also requested him to convey a message to his children. He told that he loved them so much and he is very proud of them. Then, he returned to Annie. He laid by her and started crying and told her he will always love her. Then slowly his memories started to fade. But surprisingly, Annie started getting her memories back. She recognized Chris and held him in her hands. After a moment of quiet, Chris seemed to return to heaven, to the house where they wished to live. And so did Annie. Eventually, they reunite with their kids too. They found each other again. They convey their love for each other and wish to get together and marry each other in their next life. At the end of the movie, we see two kids meeting each other at the exact spot where Annie and Chris met. They found each other again. That's all for today's video and thanks for watching it. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, let me know in the comments below which movie you want me to cover in the next video. Until next time, take care and stay tuned.